Hello, good morning, you guys. I'm doing another podcast. I'm paying a monthly subscription for this particular application, and I forget to use it as often as I should. Normally, when I pay for a type of business service or something like this for my business, I have to realize that either I'm going to use it or get rid of it. So, anyway, I thought I better use it and do a podcast or consider getting rid of it at some point. Um, I was talking to an individual yesterday in the gym, and we were wrapping up our day, and he was talking about something that I think you guys need to consider also. Um, he was talking about a particular subject matter, financial markets, economy, or something to that effect. And the other individual didn't know or hadn't studied as much as he thought he should have regarding the economy, financial markets, whatever the conversation was. And when the first individual suggested the second individual should do more research and not believe mainstream media and don't just believe the first thing you see on Facebook or some headline. The second individual got a little bit apprehensive or whatever, got a little bit flustered, and excuse the noise. And this just illustrates something that I think is probably more common and pervasive than we all want to admit. People in general are not using critical thinking. And I suggest you guys go online, go into your bookstore, go into your library, and look up critical thinking and see what it refers to. I remember a long time ago when my ex was going to college, she brought a book home, and the title was Critical Thinking. And I thought, okay, what is this? And I picked it up, and I started to read it. And it talked about, the gist of the book was talking about, big giant textbook, talking about independent thought and looking at things in a very critical manner in which you ask questions. You don't take things at face value. You do independent research. You cross-check, cross-reference. Make absolutely sure. It's my cat Lazy Bones complaining because I have to move him around when I'm making up my bed. But anyway, critical thinking has a lot to do with you being critical about what you're hearing, about what you're seeing. Is it really true, what I'm reading? Does it really make sense? Are the facts lined up? Have I cross-referenced, cross-checked, discussed, debated this topic with anyone? Or am I just reading things just so I can end up believing that what I'm reading is true? Every story has 5 or 6 different ways of being interpreted. Every conversation can get changed from one person to the next. We just aren't, as human beings, we just aren't as good as deceiving reality, interpreting reality as we really should be, which is unfortunate. I'll give you another example. How people get duped when they don't use critical thinking. There was a scam in Camarillo, California, where I live, and it really hit close to home with me because I'm a Bitcoin investor, and I know a lot about it because I've done a lot of research on it for 4 or 5 years at least. Anyway, there's a group of individuals who decided they would create a Ponzi scheme, and they would associate the name with Bitcoin. They called it BitClub, and it was a pure Ponzi scheme whereby you're compelled to join this club, hand over your money, in hopes of making a fantastic return. Now, like most Ponzi schemes, the early investors get paid out, compensated by the investors who come along later. In other words, it's not a self-sustaining business model. It's just that they tend to reward early investors with duping investors that come along afterwards. And eventually the earliest investors cash out, disappear with the money, and that's it. Now, this Ponzi scheme was worth $722 million. And it's a part of town, again, where I live. And me and my wife have visited the particular affluent neighborhood where this Ponzi scheme, where the house was located. And I went online, and we have a neighborhood watch, just like you guys do. If you go to nextdoor.com, that's NEXTDOOR, they have online neighborhood watch groups. And they talk about things that are local and things that are important in each individual neighborhood when you sign up. And the point of this is, on Nextdoor, a number of individuals, they basically talked about the headlines in terms of this being, and as far as they were concerned, this was Bitcoin. This was all about Bitcoin being a fraud and confusing the two. And I had to remind a few individuals, Bitcoin and BitClub are two totally different things. And it just illustrates that a lot of times it does not pay off to be lazy. It does not pay off to be lackadaisical. It does not pay off to be studious in terms of learning things. When we do our own research, when we do our own independent thinking, when we cross-check and cross-reference the things that we are learning, then you get a chance to learn more about what it is, whatever it is that you're studying. Anyway, there's a lot of individuals who got taken, again, to the tune of $722 million. These people took advantage of more than likely older people who didn't know the difference between a Ponzi scheme and what's not a Ponzi scheme, because no one decided to do any research. They just thought, oh, you know what? Bill said if I put $20,000 into this, it'll become $40,000 or $60,000 in a very short period of time, and I don't have to do anything, right? Well, that's what the Ponzi schemers, that's what they want. That's what they want you to think, and that's what they go after. But again, like I mentioned, I had to go online and correct these individuals to let them know. And what's really ironic is I was hosting Bitcoin meetup groups. Just like a number of my peers, we host Bitcoin meetup groups. They're free, they're educational, and you get a chance to talk and debate and use critical thinking to determine whether or not Bitcoin is worth looking at or considering or even learning about, okay, for free. Our turnouts were very, very disappointing. My Bitcoin meetup group in Camarillo was very low, very disappointing. I ended up canceling it. A peer, a friend of mine, she opened up her Bitcoin meetup group, and it's lazy ones complaining. Her Bitcoin meetup group was in Calabasas, California, affluent neighborhood. You think people would want to know, especially if they have some money, what this new technology or new protocol or threat to the finance system of the United States, if not the world, was all about, right? Well, lo and behold, very, very disappointing turnout. And just to tie this up, I'm wondering, how do you get so many people to chase a Ponzi scheme called BitClub when people like myself and others, we give free educational Bitcoin meetups and no one wants to come. No one wants to learn. No one wants to debate, discuss, or determine what is Bitcoin. But again, when you offer a Ponzi scheme, get rich quick scheme, guess what? Everybody turns up. Everybody starts throwing money at you. So anyway, again, to my point of critical thinking, you guys, don't trust anyone. Read what your government is saying about whatever they're talking about. I don't care if it's the economy. I don't care if it's laws, rules, and regulations. I don't care if it's health-related things. Double check it for yourself. Get off the hamster wheel of life and realize you have to take matters into your own hands. A lot of you are being deceived. And I'm here to tell you, you're being kept so busy on the treadmill, the hamster wheel, pedaling and pedaling, going around in circles, and you're not quite sure what's the truth, what's real, what's not. Because halfway in between getting ready to go to work and throwing some clothes together and lunch together and getting on the freeway and getting to your cubicles, you're preoccupied. And that's intentional. Whenever someone keeps others so preoccupied with surviving, you don't have time to read. You don't have time to study. You don't have time to go to meetups for educational purposes and learn things. You don't have time to discuss and debate because you're too busy. And that's intentional. That's the way the system works. It gobbles up your time. It gobbles up your efforts and financial resources. And you end up 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, totally unaware of what your life actually was all about in the first place. So, something to think about. Take it, use it if you can. If you can't, that's fine. But at some point, people really have to be more involved in their own lives, their own government, societies, cultures, or something, and contribute something of value, hopefully. But anyway, you guys have a great day and take care. And remember, critical thinking is the ability to think critically. Have a good day. Bye.